This is Andrew Hunzicker, CPA, and I'm here today with my good friend Christophe Bichet, and he is all the way over, I thought in Paris, but now more in the south, more of the mountains of France, where he has moved. So it's, how many hours later? Is it 9:30 at night?
It's 8:30 actually, so it's okay.
And I'm on the West Coast, so we're quite a long way away. And I'm going to just jump into this. So normally we do accounting. We teach all our accountants and CFOs. And Christophe and I met in an unusual way, which I'll talk about in a minute. We're both rock climbers, but you teach as well, and many CEOs and companies. So I think you have a ton of information to share. And this podcast may wind around differently as normal, and we may talk about all kinds of non-accounting things too, but hopefully that means it'll be more interesting than a dull accounting podcast. And we can learn a few things as well. Real quick, tell me, how old are you? I'm going to get your age on the camp. Is that an appropriate question?
Everything is appropriate. Yes, I'm 34 years old.
34. Okay, so you're 34, and let me share a screen real quick, and I'm gonna show Christophe and I met almost exactly. This popped up on my Facebook feed today, exactly 7 years ago, April 2nd, 2013. A different world, a different place. And here he is at the bottom, looking up of one of the world's most famous rock climbs, to bolter not to be, and about to make a very, very good effort. We were actually debating online today. It's never been climbed first try ever. The best in the world today, Adam Andra, tried it a couple of years ago. He got close. You got pretty close, and maybe one or two others, but that was quite a while ago. So going back to that, so I want to talk about your background, because we're kind of the theme around a lot of what we teach in accounting. There's a lot of accountants out there that do things okay, kind of a good level, like any topic, and we call it world class. Like, what does it mean to be world class at something? And when we offer accounting services to other people, we want to be world class at that, which to me means the top of the top. So the 1% may be kind of near the best, but the 1% of the 1%, and how you strive to get there. You may never get there, but how you strive to do that. And if you do strive to do that in your accounting practice or whatever, that will help you no matter what. So just a quick background. You give me a background on you, and I want to hear about kind of your background as a child, and also talk a little bit about Fanconi anemia too, because I want to relate how we met through that as well.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, of course, hi Andrew, and hi everybody here watching or listening. I don't know. It's actually completely crazy to be discussing with Andrew today. Since we know each other for many years, but it's been a while that we haven't talked to.
Yes.
So it's a real pleasure. And as a quick background, Andrew, that I'm a climber. I describe myself as a climber. That's been my job for many years. I've been a professional rock climber as well for a couple of years, and everything that I learned in life was through rock climbing. So even though now sometimes I don't rock climb every single day, I really consider myself as a climber, because that philosophy has taught me everything. So in my daily things that I do in other areas, I just consider myself as a climber, basically. So that's what I do. That's what I teach. I teach people how to climb to their higher best, to their higher self, to the best of themselves. So it's a little bit similar to what you do with the top accountants, to the top accountants,
That's so that's what we're trying to teach them. And so as a child, you had a very rare disease called, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, Fanconi anemia. And I'll let you tell a little. It's very rare. I know it's a lady, Amy, our good friend Amy, who's not with us anymore, worked at my wife's store, and you flew. So we're in different parts of the world. You're in France, I'm in Oregon, and you had flown back in 2013 over here to see Amy, and we're helping. They have a big foundation around this cause. And I remember my good friends Ryan Bolin and Calvin Landris had mentioned to me, they're like, oh yeah, Christophe is here. He's a really good rock climber. And I think you were here 3 weeks, all the way to Bend, Oregon, where we have world-class, world-famous Smith Rocks. And I think Ryan told me, he's like, he's never been to Smith Rocks and he's flying home tomorrow. And I was like, oh, no, this cannot be. We must get him out to Smith Rocks. And so we gathered up and we went out, and it was a beautiful day. And you must have done 10 hard routes first try. On to Bolter not to be. And I remember you were late to get back to dinner with Amy before your flight the next day. And you tried once and went all the way up it. You came down and said, maybe one more quick go. You pulled the rope and raced up it again. And it was very funny. I couldn't believe your energy level back then and fearlessness. But so tell a little bit about that cause real quick and how that relates, because I want to tie that in later to dealing with fear and really how that even applies right this second. The whole world's afraid of this virus. And
Sure.
So we have a global virus. So tell about that a little bit.
Sure. So that's another part of who I am. But I got this disease called Fanconi anemia that I was diagnosed with at the age of 5. And basically, doctors told my parents, your child is not going to live very long, maybe 15, 14 years maximum. And he's going to have to go through a bone marrow transplant. And if that goes well, he's going to have chances of having cancer tenfold by 4,000 or 5,000 compared to the normal population. So so on the paper, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look exciting at all, So and indeed, I've been to a bone marrow transplant at the age of 10. That went apparently quite well.
Yeah.
And
so tell me the very first thing you did at age 10 that I would call in the world class category. So right off, somehow your parents or you came up with some good ideas. So you were spending a lot of time in the hospital at age 10, but from what I remember, you told me some of the elderly cancer patients that you were hanging out with in the hospital were very good at knitting, and they taught you knitting, and you actually won a French championship in knitting as a child.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. That's a good one, because I was for a couple of months under a kind of a bubble, because I couldn't have any infection or things coming from the outside, so I couldn't do anything basically. Yes. and one of the stuff that I could do was knitting, so I learned that at that moment. And for the recovery process, a couple of months after, I was basically at home, but I couldn't leave home, so I had lots of time. So amongst things that I could do, I just love doing that, So at some point, I just participated in a small competition, and I arrived at the third place in front of tons of mummies, of grandpas and grandmas. That was so funny.
I must have been very surprised. So that's amazing. And so just as a backdrop, so there's many accountants probably going to be listening to this, and hopefully some climbers as well. But you think about that, wow, so you were told at this young age, at 5, and your parents, that you may pass away. And so many might think, oh, you're going to be very careful in life and not do many endeavors. But I'm just going to read some of these things off that you have excelled at highly. And I want to ask you about some of these. So rock climbing, for sure, you're one of the best rock climbers in the world. You're a magician, you're a knitter, you play different musical instruments, you know several languages, you are a specialist in Kyudo, Japanese archery, speed writing, carpentry, hypnosis, gastronomy. So many endeavors, and all at a very high level. And so, all between, you're now only 34 and fighting this disease as well with I'm guessing your immune system is probably not as strong either. And so right now we're in an environment that everyone's scared about their immune system. But that brings me to a question I want to ask you. You had posted, I think, on your site that you were told, Christophe, live every day if it's your last day. Maybe your last day, so you better live it well. And you talked about how depressing that was. And so you had your own philosophy. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. That's right. Actually, for many years, I sorry.
Tickle in the throat.
Okay, yes. So for many years, I listened to people telling me that you had basically, that phrase that you said, you have to live your life. Sorry. Okay, that's okay. As if it was the last day of your life,
Yeah.
And actually, if you do that, basically you're probably gonna do silly stuffs. You can spend all your money in one shot. You can do stuff like that, So, but it's maybe not the best thing to do. I mean, sometimes it can bring you to an awakening, and then you can realize, oh, maybe I should just kick my ass, So sometimes that can be a very healthy question. But most of the time, I prefer to just say myself, what would I do if this was the first day of my life, actually? If anything in front of me is available and possible, what can I do today? What would I do today now? And that opens up the possibilities rather than closing them. So to me, I believe this is a much healthier question than the one before,
I really like it. And it's I've used it myself. I'm like, wow, this is a great idea. It's almost like, yeah, what if today was my first day and this is a big video game and I just plop down and here I am and we're in the middle of a global virus and there's all kinds of craziness, but it's still the first day and here I am. What would I do? And related to accounting, many of our students are in the first day or the initial stages of their accounting practice or building their firm. And yeah, taking that attitude, what do you do if it's the first day? What can you do to start contributing and going on in that place? Right. Tell me how many musical instruments can you play?
Well, how many can I play? Probably too much. But how many do I play? That's not a question.
At a good level. I know you're great at piano and violin for certain, and maybe a few others.
Well, I love the ukulele, the little guitar.
And tell us real quick, how many languages have you learned? You speak French and English very well.
Also a little bit of German, but really that's only about French and English. And that's already a good thing for me,
Not too many others. And then now this is funny, you told me this. The very first time I saw you, I think was actually a couple days before we went out climbing together, and you were up on a very dangerous route at Smith Rocks, and you were way above your last piece of protection on sighting a route called Heinous Kling that was, if you fall up there, you'll fall about 80 feet and you'll hit the wall for sure. And I think you told me something like, yes, my doctor says I'm not supposed to get bruises. And and I thought that was so funny, thinking, oh my gosh, here he is just being bold and fearless, living life like it's his first day without getting a bruise. Did your doctor really say that? And you have to be careful because you would be willing to take big risks.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think that was kind of a joke. Another one, I'm sorry, Andrew.
No, that was not okay. So I'm glad to see it because I was like, oh goodness.
Right. No, but at the end, there are very few decisions that we take, or very few things that we actually do that are that can lead to something absolutely terrible. When you think about it, if you're rather healthy, if you got a house, a little bit of heat in the winter time, and you've got a pen and something to write on it, and you got a mind that's working correctly, then you can pretty do everything you want to do. So there's very little real danger for your life if you think about it for just a couple of seconds.
So you've proven that over, and I know I read another one, speed writing. Tell me what speed writing is. I know it's as well as jumping out of an airplane.
No, well, so speed riding is when you got a little canopy over your head and you've got skis on, and you basically ski down the mountain, and when there's a cliff, you can fly and not crash. So
sounds very adventurous to me. So that's flying and crashing, and so okay, that's awesome. So and so you had started climbing early on. So from the very get-go, even though with your philosophy, even though something other people might be afraid, and that's where I wanted to get into this kind of fear a little bit. And a couple of questions. One, I know it says you're a hypnotherapist and you also do mental training for the French rock climbing team, which is amazing. I'd like to hear about that, but also how you deal with fear, because you talk about doing a death-defying rock climb, dealing with that fear. We have a lot of people in our program, they're afraid to talk to a CEO maybe. They're afraid to pick up a phone and call CEO because they're scared maybe that CEO is going to put them down or make them feel like they're smaller than them. And so they might have a fear of speaking in public or something that seems much smaller than death-defying fear.
Right. So fear is very interesting because fear is actually not somehow real, but only in our head, because it just means that we are imagining a situation that's not going to end good, basically that's it.
Yeah.
And so the first thing to do is to define fear. That means to understand that it's only a story that I'm telling to myself about what could happen in the future. So that's just one option. But we just naturally tend to forget that there are thousands of other options. But those fears usually come from from the education that we had, from our parents, from the society, from many different sources. But first, it's of paramount importance to realize that it's just a story that is running in my head, basically. And of course, sometimes this story that is running is right.
Yeah.
There could be a real danger to actually do this action, to pick a phone and call a CEO. But, especially for this specific action, is there a real risk to just pick up your phone? And I like this idea that I think it's Tim Ferriss that says it very well. It's a good idea to imagine what is the worst thing that could happen. So to actually go deep into your fear and really actually just play with it. Play with it, because if you do that correctly, if you do that like just if it was a game, you're going to realize that actually just, at worst, he's going to hang up, at worst, he's going to shout at you. So, and then you're going to feel bad for maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's the worst that could happen, so. And so, when you realize that, it just lowers the fear, basically. It
lowers the fear and you go through that worst case scenario. And that's great advice, because that's where where people get stuck often on the fear side. They're good at accounting and they want to do bookkeeping and they love to work alone up in their office, but it can be scary talking to other people. We're big introverts, us accountants.
Right, which is very understandable once again, but there's something that I learned many years ago, but whatever happens, whatever emotions comes in, the worst thing to do is to push it down, say no, or so you've got to take it as if you were a rock climber. That's all you have right now. So if you got fear, then take your fear and see what it means, and go deep and take it with your hands. And that's the best way to do. That's the best way.
Okay, instead of running away from it, face it. And you've obviously done that in many ways. And how did you get into hypnotizing, and what are there any methods you use that we could apply, or the mental training of the French team? Is this more imagery type work, or?
Well, so basically, the easiest way to explain all of that could be this great metaphor that we both know as a rock climber. When you climb, you basically have to hang on to some holes, and you've got only two hands, my friend. You've got only two fucking hands, not more than two, except if you're an octopus. But so you've got to hang on to what is absolutely essential. But if you do only that, and if you think in your head like never let go, that kind of little sentences, you have to never let go, hang on, absolutely hang on. At some point, your muscles are not going to hold anymore, and you know what comes next, right? Yeah. You're just going to fall. So that's why you have to hang on to what matters the most, one hole at a time, and you've got to let go regularly to catch another hole. You've got to let go very regularly, and letting go means basically just relax. Sometimes just forget about all what's happening. Just take a deep breath. Just do all these silly things, and this is where comes meditation, auto hypnosis, or all that kind of tools that can help you to basically let go, because you cannot move forward otherwise.
And like you're saying, turn on. And again, us accountants have trouble. So right now we're in the middle of, say, tax season and this virus. And so you get so busy and overwhelmed, you forget to I should take a break. I need to go step outside and see the fresh air or whatever.
Right.
Let go and relax.
Right. This is so important. Andrew, I mean, I cannot emphasize it more than that, but especially for accountants. I mean, I can imagine that because my own accountant is sending tons of emails and he's working like hell,
Yeah.
And I know that he's the greatest challenge that he's facing is that he needs to pay great attention to relaxing moments, to breathing moments. Otherwise, he's gonna fall down. He's gonna crash. So the harder the climb, the better you have to breathe, basically.
Well, and let's Tara. So you've been giving us some advice and tips, and so I know you are also speaking, I think, all over the world, or is it mainly in France where you speak to big companies? Do you have a certain message that you give, or is this what you've already been sharing, or is there any other secret tips you give out to your audiences that we can get even if we can't fly to France?
Well, there are a few tips that people already know, that you already know, Andrew, that everybody knows. What I share is very basic. We haven't invented anything new for the past
long time. Yeah.
Right. So, so we are just saying things that are the same, but just going through our own personal stories. So everything that I share is to be the best person you can be, to climb at the summit of yourself. You have to hang on to only what matters, to what is absolutely essential now. And sometimes what is essential now is to take a break, you know. And in that succession of hold and letting go and holding on to and letting go, then you have to find your own rhythm. And rather than saying it's a good action or it's a bad action, it has to sound right to you. I think it does matter, you know, so that because it's easy, I think, to get trapped in what you should do.
Yeah.
Because everybody is saying that, you know, you should do that, you have to do this, that's the way to do, etc., etc. You are the only one who knows exactly what's right for you. So you have to pay attention, like a musician, if it sounds right or if it doesn't sound right to you. And I think that's a major key to move forward, even in a very difficult time, basically,
And
because I'm not content, so
that's
I'm not
great
in your
advice,
position.
and that's true. And even so, within our program, I'm teaching my way to do things that I know are pretty good ways to do certain things. But yeah, it's very important to, I might suggest you do something that works really well for me, but you might need to tweak it to adjust to how that works for you in your own
Exactly.
practice to make sure, yeah, because we all have to, we all are different. And so we have to make sure things work for us as well.
Right.
Um,
You got to make it basically your own. So I'm sure that your method is fantastic, but to be really useful, your students have to take it and then make little adjustments to make it their own. That
their own special thing, and that's very good. So we talked about a lot of different things. Let me ask you this. This is kind of relevant. So you and I think when we were so we spent a time in Kentucky together and had a ball climbing in the blizzard of Kentucky. Um, and a couple of things that I'll talk. This is just speaking. One is just persistence and how. So on the one hand, you've had success at many things and seemingly quickly and easily. Like mostly when I watch you climbing, you see a climb, you do a first try or second try, it looks very easy. You're not like me that's very unsuccessful at the climbs. But one day, me and you are all alone in Kentucky at a very famous climb called 24 Carat, and I just sat there. I had already quit climbing, and you say you're going to try this climb, and you would tie in and go all the way up to the very last move and fall off on this last move and swing down, and I would catch you, lower you down, you pull the rope back to the ground, you say, do you mind I try one more time? You wait 5 minutes, try again, fall at the last move. I think this went on for about 6 times. I was actually amazed at how you never got tired, that you could climb this climb over and over to the top. And we finally quit, but it was the first time I've seen you really put perseverance and effort. But so what's your take on that about trying something when you may fail over and over, which again ties to us? We may call 100 CEOs and 99 of them tell us to get lost. So how do you kind of persevere and push forward when something seems impossible?
Right, right. So that's a very good question, Andrew. I believe that you've got to love the game, basically. You've got to love to give your best to your clients, you know, because if you don't, you're not going to have this capacity to persevere and to try again, even if you don't succeed. So you've seen me really do a lot of attempts on many days before I could actually climb that route. but I just so much love climbing, and I just love to do all those movements that it was okay enough, to make me try again. So you've got to basically, I know that sounds cheesy or, very fundamental, but in those times, especially, we've got to come back to the fundamentals.
And that's
And
a good point too with, because some people are so tied up in the fear and that they should hate talking to the CEO, but maybe you talk to 100 of them and every one you take the mindset that I'm helping this person, even if they don't want it. And it's fun to help others. And even if 99 out of 100 turn me away, that's okay. I helped them anyway.
Exactly. I think it does matter to nourish this mindset that I'm going to give my best, and not be attached to the result. The result does not matter, and I've learned that on every aspect in my life. I'm not climbing because I want to go to the top. I want to climb because I love climbing, But the goal is not the top itself. The goal is to go on and to have all the capacity to keep on climbing. That's the game. So if I can keep playing, then I keep playing the game. And that's what I love. And if I succeed, great. If I don't succeed, great as well, because you learn when you fail. So
yes, and that's another great point, that when you fail at something, you're finding out what doesn't work as well. And so that might help you as well. And it's very easy in climbing or in accounting to compare yourself to others. And so just like in our accounting group, just like our climbing groups, you'll see, oh, Joe, you'll see these famous climbers, our friend Nina, she succeeds every route, and you can be depressed and say, why don't I succeed on every route? Same in accounting. You see, oh, Sally's over there and she's got 10 clients and her business is thriving. Why can't my business thrive? It's very easy to get out there comparing and not just bring it home to what you need to be doing.
Yes, absolutely. And there might be perhaps one useful idea for everybody here, but life isn't fair.
That's a tough one.
I know, but that's a fact, Some people live like me, some people die like Amy, and that's just unfair.
I agree.
And there's no other way to explain it. It's just unfair. There's no way to explain that. Why she and not me,
Yes.
And but so that's why comparison is just not a good idea. It just refrains you. So, and once you've accepted that life is just unfair, that's the essence of life. We are different. You are taller than me.
Yes.
Sometimes it's easier for you to reach the poles, but I'm much lighter. So,
I like how you phrased it. It's unfair, but we're each different. So it's almost like find what you do best. And it truly is. It's unfair. And on your website, you say living is a story of taking. And so normally when you think taking, you think selfish, grabbing, hoarding. But two things you mentioned that are the opposite of that. One is risk taking, and the other one's taking a stand. And so that's what we can all do. We can take our own stand, our own position. Just today, we have some loans in America for struggling business owners, but there are ways for CEOs that are not needing money right now to take advantage in a bad way and get money, as opposed to someone like, say, the corner barbershop that really needs the money. And so like I personally took a stand and said, I'm not going to apply for that money because I don't need it. I'm going to hopefully help someone else. And so talk about what that means, taking a stand to you and in your business, because I think it's very important for running your business. It's not just about gain and profit and achieving the result or the summit.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, as you just express it once again with another example, it's just unfair. But once you said it, once you've seen it, then you've got to to go back to your center and say, okay, what can I do? What can I do to make things better with the holes I got now, you know? Because if you constantly look at Nina climbing, of course you're going to be depressed, you know? Of course, you know, everybody's going to be depressed, you know, watching her climbing. So you've got to pay attention to where is your focus. It's another fun. I mean, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. What's your focus today? But it's especially now. It really matters where you put your focus, where you look. You know, where what your eyes are seeing first. And it doesn't mean to be in denial. It just means pay attention to what matters and what you can actually take.
So a couple more, I know we've got a long time, a couple more I want to hit at the end. Yeah, where you are now. And so, you know, it's interesting. And you've talked going all the way back to living life as your first, and you truly don't know. Like, we lost our good friend Amy, and you don't know. Forget the virus if you're going to make it to next month or whatever. You've been living your whole life like that. But I know many of us are terrified right now in the world that, oh, this virus is killing people. And not only it's like a double whammy. We've got this virus floating around everywhere that can kill us, but at the same time, oh, my business may be falling off a cliff, and the stock market's falling off a cliff, and I'm losing money and risking my life. Is there any other philosophy you use to just not get out in that future and just say, oh, okay, I got to look to today only, almost?
Well, yes, there's something that I do every day, that I use every day, that is very simple once again, but the best way to move forward in the right direction is to be at peace with your past as well. So and as well with what is present right now. And there's a good way to bring up this emotion. It's called gratitude, and basically it means you're just feeling grateful for what you already have. And I've explained that as a person who had lots of health issues. Of course,
Yes.
When you can't speak anymore because there's part of the tongue that's been cut out, you feel grateful to have your hands and that you can write something so people can understand you, you know?
Yes.
And I do remember I couldn't drink for a couple of months because of all those surgery that I had here because of the mouth cancer. And I remember when I could drink again, it was like paradise, you know? I could just put some water in my mouth, and that was absolutely, you know, that was the most extraordinary experience of my entire life, you know? Just drink some fucking water, you know?
That's amazing.
Right. And that just put things into perspective.
Yes. So the life, yeah, we're in a tough position now, but yeah, you can drink water right now. You can wait. You have your health today. So that's a great way to look at it. And you do, it's true that, yeah, if you go without water for a long time, being able to drink it is an amazing thing. Or it's all relative, yeah, as well.
Right. So come back basically to what you already have, and you've got to see that you are already very lucky and that you are already wealthy. Actually, I'm sure that lots of people are already wealthy because of what they have, because of their body, their mind, and they have still some people around them that they love. So, and this is priceless. Literally speaking, this is priceless, you know. So they are wealthy.
That's awesome. That is great advice. And so I think we've hit almost everything, and shared a ton of useful stuff as well as entertaining stories. And get back to my theme of world class, and whether you learn a new musical instrument or you're a great magician, and I know people I tried to be a magician when I was little and totally failed at that. If you pick up something brand new, like say gardening or carpentry or rock climbing, and you want to be really good at it, is there any shortcuts, or are there any, if you want to be an accountant and you want to be a really good one and world class, how are you going to become a world class accountant?
Right. So that's a great question, by the way, really great question. I love that. Okay, so I would say my shortcut would be, first, I think there would be like 3 steps. First, you have to have the mindset of a child. The mindset of a child, of a baby. You're just in a game. You're just going to play, because that's the best way to learn anything. That's the first thing, the mindset of a child.
Okay.
And then you've got to say to yourself, what would I do if I were the best?
Okay, that's,
what would I do if I was the best? And the third question is, what actually am I going to do as the best now? And then you've got your essential hold for the day.
Okay, so what am I going to do right now as the best? And that's tell you what to do right this second.
Right. I think this is a major shortcut, and I'm pretty sure lots of people have done actually that in one way or another to achieve some great success.
So that is great advice. Is there anything else you want to tell us? I'm not sure who all will end up listening to this as well, even outside of accountants. Are you doing any other talks or where they can find out more about you? I know your website is ChristopheBichet.com, which I will add in as well.
Something else, maybe one last bite, could be, don't take yourself too seriously.
All right, well, that's great as well, and I hope we'll talk more offline. I want to get you back over to Oregon, and we will or Kentucky or France again, and we'll get back together, because we always have a great time, even though my French is not great. I know.
C'est très bien.
I know "c'est la vie," which is translated as "this is the life."
Yeah, right. C'est la vie.
All right. Well, thank you so much.